this episode of Cuss N Discuss. I'm your host, Steve Kutie, with Ginger Duke and Flynn Stewart, and today's topic is going to be from Faye in Colorado. Do you quarantine a new horse when they come into training? So, we'll let ladies go first, Flynn. So, what do you got, Ginger? Do you quarantine?
We do. We, the way our property is set up, you kind of like come in, there's the house, and then to the right is our shed row of training stalls and runs. And then to the left is kind of our arena and then round pens. And then we have a little like half-acre pasture. And a lot of times we'll turn them out in there about 2 weeks and then switch them over to the shed row.
That's on any horse? Any horse that comes in?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Flynn?
Well, we sometimes quarantine them, yes. We have a 4-stall barn, and it's 200 or 300 yards or 400 yards maybe from the regular barn. And we'll quarantine them up there if they're coming in. Now, if we just take one to the vet and bring her back, we just put her back in the barn. But anything that comes in from anybody else gets quarantined for a week, 2 weeks, depending on the horse and how they handle it. And but we can go up there, and we have a set of stocks up there where we can palpate a mare that comes in or whatever, and we use that barn, and that barn has lights on the timer, which is necessary in the winter when you're getting ready for a sale. Sometimes we just send our sale horses up there, and then but if we buy something at a sale, it usually stays in there for a week, 10 days.
Right. I guess I'm a little bit different just because we're not really set up to quarantine stuff now. I guess I kind of do it on an individual basis. You know, I mean, like if it's a lady at home and they've got 1 or 2 horses, and you know there's not a bunch of coming and goings, then I don't ever try to worry about it. But like if I were to happen to get something from the sale barn, then you know I would probably try to find some place to put it just to be safe. You know, I mean, if it's generally coming from somebody else's training program, or you know, it's been a horse that was out in the pasture and come. I think the chances of anything happen are very slim. You know, I mean, obviously if it comes from the sale barn, you have an opportunity for the sale barn crud, and you don't know what you're going to get into. But as a general rule, most of the horses at this point in time that we would get into training, you know, they're in a good, safe facility, and you know they've all been up on their vaccinations and all the stuff. But I mean, you can take all the precautions in the world, but you know, again, the inevitable is going to happen. If you're hauling them to shows and doing the things, you're going to pick up. Them. Yeah, you're going to pick up something. Yeah. And you know, no matter what you do, it's going to be pretty tough to keep it from creeping through your barn.
Yeah, your barn's a little different though, because you've got tall concrete walls for your stalls,
yeah.
So they can't really.
But they can kind of touch noses, you know. And one time we had, I think the only issue that I've really ever had happen, you know, I mean, knock on wood, right, is that we went to a show in Fort Worth, and I went down there with some customers, and then I came back a day or two early. Then they came back and brought their horse up. Their horse picked up strangles from the show, and then my horse got it from hers, not from the show, right? But so I mean, it kind of got passed down. Well, then I had a stall that was separate because the barn wasn't full, and I put that horse in there. We tried to be very cautious and you know meticulous about. We only used the stall fork. We only did this. We only did that. You know, we used gloves. We changed all these things, and you would think that it would go from this stall to this stall and this stall, and then, but you know it was like this horse and then this horse, and then pretty soon it was at the other end of the barn, and then it was in the middle of the barn, and some horses got it, some horses didn't. Yep. And I mean, so at that point, I mean, basically we just took 30 days and just didn't let anybody in and let anybody out, and just kind of let it run its course, because no matter what we did, like we weren't stopping it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, you know, I mean, even with the best procedures, it's pretty hard to stop it. But again, you know, knock on wood, we haven't had too many issues with that stuff. I mean, you know, we try to make sure, right, if a horse comes into training, I mean, they have a health certificate because a lot of our horses come in from out of state anyway, so they've kind of been checked over by a vet beforehand. You know, they got a clean Coggins, and you know, if they didn't have a clean Coggins, you're pretty sure the state would be there before you ever knew about it.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't have to worry about that. But they're gonna have a clean Coggins, and everything else is pretty, you know, pretty standard from that point. But I mean, I don't think you can go. I won't say you can go too overboard, but you know, I mean, I think even if you put him in quarantine for 2 weeks and you bring him into your barn, you know, he may have a weak immune system and pick
That's
up
right.
something that had been
Sure,
laying in that
sure.
stall, and then you've got it again.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I you know, it's just I hadn't worried too much about it. So I mean, again, I hope that answers your question. I think that was kind of a quick and short, right? Sweet one. I mean, it's just you got to do what fits your program. If you've got the facilities and the ability to separate them out and quarantine them and do it, then you know, by all means do it, because I mean it's a safe preventative. But if you've got a bunch of horses and a bunch of stalls and horses are coming in and going out and you're going to a bunch of shows, I mean, eventually your number's going to come up. You're going to catch some crud somewhere. But I think then the key is just like doctoring cows, right? Catch it before or right as it happens, and then it doesn't turn into a big
That's
deal.
right.
If you just let it go and that horse looks like he's got a little bit of a snotty nose or a little bit of a cough, if you don't get on it right then it's going to turn into something big. So just
Yeah.
try and cut it off before it really gets started.
That's right.
So, and that's it. I hope that answers your question, Faye. So we hope to catch you on the next one. Thanks.